Okay, Seth, of all the people that operate in your space, you're in your occupation or in your industry, who do you have the greatest respect for that you also have the greatest difference of opinion with, and why?
One of the cool things about the book business is we blurb each other's books. And we want our books to be sold next to each other's books, right? When you go to a BMW dealership, they don't have Lexuses right next to the BMWs. And you will never see Tim Cook put on the back of a Pixel box, "I love the Pixel phone. I strongly suggest you buy one." Right? But in the book industry, we do it all the time. And the reason is they're not the competition. The average American buys one book a year. The average book that's a huge bestseller is read by 1 out of every 350 Americans. Which means other is the competition. That the competition is apathy. The competition is YouTube. So we're all on the same team. What that permits us to do is happily steal from each other, learn from each other, shift gears with each other. And when I see someone like Steve Pressfield, who has written one of the most profound books of all time, The War of Art, refuse to actively do all the things that gurus, in quotation marks, are supposed to do to hustle their book, because he wants to get back to work. I have huge respect for that. Because the fact is, all the hustling in the world doesn't sell that many more books. Writing an amazing book sells more books. On the other extreme, nobody works harder than Gary. And I have huge differences of opinion about delivery, about interrupting people, about profanity, and about hustle. I am not a fan of hustle. But I am totally in awe of how hard this person works. And somebody who cares that much and puts that much effort into it, you have to, at some level, respect that. And Gary's my friend, and we've known each other a long time. So, there's a long list of people. I was saying to Bryan before we started, when I was 25 years old, I was friends with Tom Peters, Jay Levinson, Chip Conley, and Guy Kawasaki. Like, what are the odds of that? It's insane. Tom's book had just come out. Guy hadn't written a book. I hadn't written a book. Chip hadn't written a book. Jay hadn't fully formed the guerrilla marketing thing. It was just a weird worlds colliding thing. And when all of us see each other, there's zero friction about this. And so there's not a lot of grudges that go on. What we know is that human beings are complicated. And most of my peers sell more books than I do. Most of my peers have bigger followings than I do, because they are touching a different button on a different group of people who want a different thing, who are afraid of a different thing. And that's totally fine with me. I don't covet that. I know what that would be like, and I know how to do it. But I'm trying to serve a different person who's looking for a different thing. And that's totally cool. So thank you for that one. Well, yes, sir.
I lead a young architecture studio. We specialize in hotel shower designs. Just kidding. My question is about employee retention.
Yeah.
This is an honest question. I'm scared and nervous that the excitement that I was able to provide in year 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
I'm scared I can't replicate that
Of
to
course.
get the talent that has stayed with me so long.
Yep.
And I just, any insight for a small business on how to retain the excitement that kept, you know what it is.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant question. Okay, so a couple of small name checks along the way here. Tom Peters, 25 years ago, controversially said you should have a regular session to help your entire team improve their resume. Because if the only reason they're staying is they can't get a job somewhere else, you don't want them. That you want to be the place of choice. And if they have a weaponized Class A resume and they still can't find a place better than yours, now you're going to have the right kind of retention, not the retention of laziness or inertia. But the second name check is the idea of Jeff Moore and Crossing the Chasm, plus Everett Rogers' product adoption life cycle. So let me try to do this with an invisible piece of paper and an invisible Sharpie. There's a normal distribution here. Can you all visualize that? It's called the normal distribution because 88% of the people in the middle are normal, and the 12% of the people on either edge are weird. And normal people have certain buying behaviors. So for example, they all waited till DVD players were $88 at Walmart before they bought one. Very few normal people bought a $5,000 DVD player. They waited. Normal people, right, don't have a 12 flashing on their VCR. They got rid of the VCR a long time ago. It's the center of the market. Well, this idea, as Rogers pointed out, that a product moves through the curve. Certain people buy it when it's new, brand new Tesla Roadster 9 years ago, because they want to tell people they have the new thing. Some people wait till everyone has one. People like us do things like this. And some people have to be dragged at the last minute because their Model T has no parts available for it, right? And what Moore pointed out is that in between the early adopters, the geeks, the nerds, and the normal people, there's not this stepwise wonderful curve. There's a chasm, a gap. Because these people want something totally different than these people. And the best example is the Newton. Everyone says the Apple Newton, what a disaster, total failure. Actually, it sold more than 100,000 units in just a couple months. These people bought it. I bought it. But these people said, it doesn't work, and didn't buy one. Failure. Fell into the chasm. So now when we're thinking about recruiting and hiring, exactly the same math works. There are some architects who want to work at Skidmore, Owens, and Merrill. Is that still called that? SOM? Because they're right in the middle. They can brag to their parents. They can point to the buildings. It's not just safe. It's prestigious. It's status. It's tell me what to do, surround me, but with enough soft tissue that I'm not going to get in trouble. And then there's people who say, yeah, I got hired by Facebook. I'm the in-house software architect, and I'm using everything I learned from Taliesin to design user interface so that they can tell all their friends, I'm working on something new. Right? So you got the best of breed nerds and early adopters to join you at the beginning. But these people have changed as humans, and your institution has changed. And so now you have to take a deep breath and say, well, do I need those thrill seekers to leave so that I can bring in the kind of heavy hitters that get me Marriott as a client, right? Because a lot of firms do that. Or do you say, we're always going to be here in the froth, and I'm building a studio, right? So that was the choice I had to make 10 or 15 years ago, because lots of people have built, much more significant institutions from the base that I was starting from, because IBM calls you up and says, we need you to train 7,000 people. Well, that means you need a whole bunch of trained trainers and blah, blah, blah. So you move through the curve and do this. And I said, well, I could do that, but I like the froth. So I have a studio. And what it means to have a studio is you have turnover, and turnover is okay. Because when people get bored, well, now they have a resume that's going to get them into Skidmore at a higher level. Congratulations. I'll write you a letter of recommendation. You didn't fail here. You succeeded here. But what we do at a studio is we're always going to take cutting-edge projects that don't make us enough money, where we're under-respected but over-applauded. That's what we do. It's a studio. So if you're going to do that, own that. Be clear with the team. We're looking for more frothy early adopters. And if you need stability because you've got your third kid on the way, let me help you find a place to do that. Or you say, nope, we're a different kind of firm now. And if you're begging me for the zing, I don't have a zing here anymore. Here's someone who just graduated from school. I'll help you go there. Because that's what we've got now going forward. We're way more similar to the Hollywood model of we create value by putting together the team that's going to make Black Panther. And that team's never going to work again together. But they'll remember each other 3 years from now. And when I need a few of them, Mission Impossible style, I'll put them all back together. Because that's where the yield is. We can't build the factory that cranks it out the way Ford did for 60 years of record profits. Facebook's not going to have 60 years of record profits. Facebook's got a 10 more year run, and then something else is going to be next. So that model is, again, a shift from what our parents taught us.